False alien invasion, a warning for starseeds. Important theory and information from Nishara of Error, and written by me, Mari Swaruu. Hello, thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are all doing very well. I am Mari Swaruu. Today I cannot directly say things, I must talk about recent past events and situations with other names, and with collateral descriptions, going around them a bit, because of the censorship, but I'm sure it will be clear enough to be understood anyway. I must do this at least in the first part of the video. I'm not much into predicting anything, but whenever my group and I see something important that we think can happen, it is better to share it with all of you as soon as possible. Reality is too complex to predict outcomes because there is never enough data. Seeing the future psychically is possible, but psychics can only see their own future, and their own timeline because each person interprets the world through the lens of their own perception, and what is the truth for one person may not be for another. And this is why no psychic has ever been completely accurate predicting future events. The same happens when technology is used to see the future, as it can only observe a narrow band of reality frequencies inside a much broader one, and it will also directly depend on who is programming the machine. This is the case of all looking glass machines, and optical portal technology as well, which I will talk about in another video. They are both basically portals, but instead of people and objects passing through them, it is information in the form of light and sound waves that passes, needing a lot less energy to achieve this, so it is a lot easier to build and operate them than a larger fully operational portal. This theory and information I'm going to share next was recently developed by the Taygetan and Swaroonian think tank, a small group of people in a council meeting on board Starship Taygetean, and was first thought of, realized and developed by Nishara of Error, without using any kind of looking glass, or time travel technology, by simply observing, remembering, and connecting the dots. As I explained in my previous video or videos, the cabal that controls Earth is preparing some kind of false alien invasion. We cannot know if it will happen or not, but our data is pointing in that direction. The way the controllers of Earth are pushing their information about extraterrestrial disclosure, using their controlled media, and also creating groups of people who have different, and often opposing points of view, looks a lot like what happened during the first months of the last big health issue problem emergency involving a tiny little monster you all know about. In the case of this extraterrestrial disclosure, the cabal created several types and groups of people, and they later placed them as opposing forces. For example, well-known and well-funded researchers about extraterrestrials claim to be fighting to be recognized, and for general credibility in the media, claiming that their data is not official when they themselves are being sponsored and guided by the intelligence community, which is also controlling the official narrative and media platforms. The problem most people can't see is that even when two or more people, or groups of people apparently hold opposing points of view and agendas, they may be controlled by the same organization to push an even larger agenda, and also as a distraction for the public as well as to create controlled opposition, to prevent a real one from emerging. During the last health issue, you all know about, several groups of people clashed against one another, each one of them certain that their point of view was the correct one, and everyone was so convinced that theirs was the truth, that they did whatever they could to impose their points of view onto the people that opposed them, every one of them thinking that they must do so because it was a life or death situation. But the group of people who followed the official narrative, not only had the media to back their claims, making them stronger, but they also were vastly more numerous and had way more resources of all kinds, to impose their points of view onto a much smaller awakened and highly conscious community. The general public entered a fearful state of mind, where they only functioned with their basic survival instinct, panicking over the idea of an invisible predator stalking them at every corner. And in this survival-only state of mind, they mindlessly followed the official version, instructions, and mandates, completely convinced that it was for their protection and for the greater good. This caused many people to be segregated, ostracized and ridiculed by their family, friends, and co-workers at a level that has never been seen before. All the highly awakened people who could see through the lies of the official version found themselves alone and powerless to convince others of the falsity of the situation, and although all their best efforts to open the eyes of their families and peers were in their best interest at heart, they were always met with insults, threats, anger, and disbelief. I'm not here to talk about that issue, but I am developing a frame of concepts based on how people react when in panic and how they will most certainly react again if the circumstances are similar enough, especially on a global scale. I need the listener to remember how people reacted during that last situation, and especially I want you to remember how badly the awakened minority was treated at that time. Remember how in many cases, people were constantly attacked and sometimes even lynched simply because they did not want to obey the irrational official version, and they did not want to obey because they knew the dangerous invisible predator was found in the supposed cure and not in a free state and in the air. So the awakened minority was also under tremendous pressure, and also in a pure survival state, as they too felt that their integrity was under attack. With this situation, two groups of people were placed one against the other, neither one being able to comply with the demands of the other, but one group, the one that followed the official version, was vastly superior in numbers and forces over the awakened, highly conscious minority. Now, replace the invisible little monster that caused everyone to live in fear during the past few years with extraterrestrials, an official disclosure where governments openly accept that extraterrestrials exist, and with a false alien invasion. None of those government agendas ever bring anything positive to the general population. The governments will tell the public only what they want the people to think, and it won't be the truth, because they never tell the truth to the people. After all, the truth is power, and they want the people powerless. As the ex-CIA director William Casey said, quote, "When everything the public knows is a lie, then we have succeeded." Never forget his words. Nishaura's theory, in my words. So, governments go about disclosing that they know that extraterrestrials exist, and they accept that they have been in contact with this or that other extraterrestrial group. They declassify documents and photographs about them, and they cook up an official narrative, as usual. So okay, they declassify and everything, and then it turns out that laws have to be imposed so that it doesn't get out of control. Depending on their narrative, new rules and restrictions must be imposed on the population, and new censorship criteria will also be developed, where it will be prohibited to talk about extraterrestrials in an open way, and whenever it is acceptable, only the official narrative must be said and shared. They will say or may say that those restrictions are for the public's protection, as there are too many dangerous theories about the extraterrestrials circulating on the web and in the media, and censorship must be imposed supposedly also to protect the interests of those extraterrestrials, because planet Earth's visitors must be welcomed. Talking bad about them will be considered abusive, not inclusive, and so on. And in the case where the official version is not in favor of the extraterrestrials, or where they are presented as an invasive force of any kind, the governments will, or may, impose restrictions, ostracize and even persecute anyone who has openly spoken about this subject, specifically starseeds. And people who have stated that they are extraterrestrials themselves, or who have said that they had, or have any type of contact with extraterrestrials, will or may, be openly persecuted and attacked, both by government organizations, and as a violent fear response reaction of the general population. There is no need for an open hostile alien invasion narrative to be presented to the public. Declassification is all that is needed to start all this madness, because they will claim that they need to control the public's perceptions and reactions to this new information. Declassification can, or will, cause new laws, rules, regulations and censorship, and the group of people who will be most affected and attacked will be the starseeds. The governments may or will say that there is a need to censor and control everything that has to do, or what is said about extraterrestrials. They may say that censorship is necessary to control all the misinformation people are saying about the extraterrestrials, with this silencing all the starseeds. Starseeds, as strong as they can be, are a very vulnerable group, and life on Earth is very hard for them. The last thing they need is to be openly persecuted in some kind of witch hunt, simply because they have said that they are starseeds, therefore non-humans. The emotional and mental strain and weight starseeds are subjected to is already very strong, and further organized attacks could finally cause many, if not most of them, to collapse. With this, the cabal and its governments could be able to neutralize starseeds and all their influence on the general population they want to control. The false alien invasion, or simply disclosure, may be a way to get rid of starseeds and the interference they cause for the cabal. The general population may end up organizing against starseeds in another fear reaction mindless rampage, like the one we recently saw because of the little invisible monster. Starseeds are great reality creators, and I don't doubt they can deactivate, or prevent all this from happening on their own. A single starseed influences and even guides large groups of people, and without needing to utter a single word they can change and steer collective timelines for the better, and that is precisely one of the reasons they have incarnated on Earth. Starseeds are powerful, but the problem is that governments also know they are. They know this, and they will stop at nothing in order to control, or even eradicate the starseeds, because those are the ones who are most powerfully and openly working against the cabal's intentions and plans. Starseeds are a powerful opposing force against the cabal. Never underestimate this, as you must never underestimate the cabal, and what it is capable of, to get away with its evil agendas. Thinking this is not possible may be naive, because some years ago it would be impossible to think that they could pull off such a psychological operation as large, and as false as the little evil monster, and the general public simply fell for all the lies, and flat out. As Nishara explained here, using the series of movies X-Men, where the mutants are persecuted because of their powers, so can the starseeds be persecuted for their powers, such as being highly awakened and conscious, telepathy, manifestation power, clairvoyance, empathy, strong connection to source, their ability to guide the general population, among so many others. Starseeds do have real superpowers. This hasn't come to pass yet, but we do see this scenario, or variants of this one, as a true future possibility. This hasn't come to pass yet, but we do see this scenario, or variants of this one, as a true future possibility. The more people who know about this theory, the less probable it will become, because it deactivates the cabal's plans. We must anticipate their moves, and if enough people are aware of this possibility, then it most probably will not happen at all. So, please share it with your fellow starseed friends, and let's not let this happen. Remember, you are the only true creators of your personal and collective reality. Please be strong out there, dear starseeds. And above all, be very wise. Thank you for watching my video, and for liking and subscribing for more. I appreciate it a lot. With much love. Your friend, Mari Swaruu.